you are a great investor, but you started as a businessman. I'm a businessman trying to become a great investor. How do those two relate?
In our brains, we actually use the exact same part of the brain in both activities. So Warren Buffett has a great quote. He says, "I'm a better investor because I'm a businessman, and I'm a better businessman because I'm an investor." And in his case, a lot of people don't know, but Warren had done a lot of different businesses in different areas before he was 17. Starting when he was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. His very first business was buying Cokes from his grandfather's store at a nickel a piece, and then selling them at a dime a piece.
Right.
And,
buy wholesale, sell retail.
Yeah. So that was one of his first ones. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand about the way our brains work is the human brain actually, when we are born, it is the most underdeveloped organ when we're born, because the birth canal is not wide enough. So for the first 5 years of life, the brain is the fastest growing organ that we have as humans. The neuron connections are growing at an exponential rate. From the age of about 11 to about 20, that window is when the brain is set up to specialize. And the neuron connections get cut. So they actually go down quite a bit, but the brain allocates areas to hone in and specialize. So, if you think of someone like Michelangelo or Bill Gates or even Warren Buffett, these guys started specializing at 10 or 11. And if you start writing code at the age of 10 or 11, for example, like Bill Gates did, by the time he was 20, the expertise that he had, someone else starting at 20 would not be able to match him even at 50. So that 10-year window is a very critical window in human development. And unfortunately, our education system doesn't recognize that.
And unfortunately, I'm 35, so it's too late.
We hope there are some 11-year-olds listening, or we hope when you have kids.
Tell your kids,
it's not all, the cake's not fully baked yet. So I think the thing with Warren was that I think when he was about 10 or 11 years old, he was running a bunch of very interesting businesses.
What was he doing? I've never heard these. So I didn't know this backstory.
One first businesses was he used to go to this racetrack in Omaha called Aksarben, which is Nebraska spelled backwards. And he used to publish racing tips called Stable Boy Selections, basically telling you what horses to bet on. And then also what he would do is when all the races had been run, he'd collect all the discarded tickets on the ground, and he'd go home and go through each one carefully to see if some drunk had thrown out a winning ticket. And he'd find a few, but he was too young to go to the window to collect because under 18. So he would give them to his Aunt Alice, who would go and collect for him. Around the age of 14 or 15, he had a very good friend in high school called Don Danley. And Danley was a tinkerer. He was like very mechanically inclined. So one time I think Warren went to his home and he saw that Don's working on a pinball machine in his garage. And he asked Don what he's doing. He said, "Oh, I just bought this pinball machine that wasn't working. They gave it away. I paid like $15 for it. And I think I can get it working." And Warren asked him, how much is it going to cost? He said, "It's going to cost like $3 in parts and maybe a couple of hours to get it working." And then Warren says, "Can you find more machines like this which don't work?" He says, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of machines you can buy, which people don't want them because they don't work, etc." So Don and him formed a company in their minds. They never actually incorporated anything. They called it the Wilson Coin-operated Amusement Company. And they went to barbershops in DC And these two boys, nerdy looking 15-year-olds, they went to the barber and said, look, we work for a Mr. Wilson. And Mr. Wilson did not exist.
Right.
It was a fictitious character. We work for Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Wilson has asked us to present you with a proposition that we can put a pinball machine in the barbershop, and we'll come by once a week, and whatever coins are in there, we'll split it 50-50 with you. Half for you and half for Mr. Wilson. So the barber said, yeah, put it in the corner, right? And so Warren got Danley busy fixing pinball machines, and the two of them would go on weekends and, get barbershops.
Yeah, every week they're making some money.
And so I think he had eventually something like 40 barbershops with these machines. And Warren said that the first week he went back to the first barbershop, he thought he died and went to heaven. So there was like $5 or $6 in there. And so their take was about like $3 on $18 of capital in 1 week.
Right.
And he just told Don, go as fast as you can.
Danley, what are you doing right now?
yeah, exactly. Warren had all these different businesses that he was a senior partner and whoever he was working with was a junior partner. One time, Danley showed him an ad for a Rolls Royce for sale for $300, but it didn't run. It was a old beat up Rolls, and people is giving away like junk, right? And he thought he could fix the Rolls. So they bought the Rolls for $300, maybe another $50 in parts, and Danley had it running. And then they, spruced it up, and they would rent it on weekends for $100 to weddings. and then on the weekdays, the two of them would go to school, the high school, in the Rolls. So what happened is, and Warren didn't know this, but he was specializing and figuring out business in that window of time, the 11 to 20, right? And so by the time he was 18 or 19, I think he went to college when he was 17. By the time he was 17 when he went to college, he had $15,000. And he told his dad, I'm going to pay for my college myself. And he also told his dad, I don't need an inheritance. Whatever money there is, you're leaving, leave it to my two sisters.
Right.
I'm good.
And 15,000 back then is a lot, in
Well,
today's dollars.
it's about 10 to 1.
So 150
Yeah,
grand.
so
That's
just
a
think
17-year-old.
Yeah, think about a 17-year-old with 150K, right? And at that time, college was cheap,
Right.
And the other thing is that he got interested in investing. His dad was a stockbroker, so he used to go to his dad's office on the weekends. And he says that at the age of 11, he bought his first stock. And he said, I was wasting my time till then, But he didn't really have a philosophy. He didn't have an investing philosophy. At 19, he read The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham. And that was transformational. And he thought Ben Graham was this guy who, died and passed away. But then he discovered that Ben Graham was teaching at Columbia. He was a professor at Columbia. So when he finished his undergrad, he applied to Columbia to go to business school there, so he could learn directly from Ben Graham. And he joined Columbia's MBA program. Must have been 20 or something. And then, of course, after that, Graham hired him. And
isn't there some story where he tells Graham, like, I'll work for you for free, and Ben Graham says, your price is too high?
That's correct, yeah.
So he still ended up convincing him somehow.
So actually, Graham, at that time, Jews were very heavily discriminated against. Right. There was a lot of anti-Semitism on Wall Street. So Ben Graham, who was Jewish, wanted to give the few jobs that he had to Jewish kids and young Jewish people because they just weren't many opportunities. So he basically told Warren, look, I got to take care of the community.
Right.
But then Warren went back to Omaha, and about a few months after that, Graham called him and said, if you want to come to New York, I got something for you. And Warren never asked him what the salary was, what the position was. He just took the next train to New York. Wow. With his wife. His experience as a businessman, he was very lucky. It got seared in that window of time. And both Warren and Charlie, they can crack businesses and business models really fast. So when we start a business, we will spend maybe 3 or 4 or 5% of our time on figuring out the strategy. what's going to be the product, service,
Market, price
pricing,
point,
all these, how we're going to make it work,
Right.
and all the different plans, right? And then 97% is all the blocking and tackling to make it happen.
Right. It's Danley fixing machines.
Yeah, exactly. And so in the case of investing, we use the same brain cells that we use in that 3 to 5% of time. And basically, one of the things that attracted me to investing was that basically that 3% becomes 80%. Because we don't need a Danley. We've got public companies and all of that.
Right.
And we just have to pick which businesses we want to own partially and which ones we want to ride and so on. And so I think that I always find it strange if I run into investors who haven't been entrepreneurs, because I think they're missing a very key part.
Right.
And on the other hand, I find that entrepreneurs are very naturally already set up to be great investors if they make a couple of tweaks. But what ends up happening is that we don't see a lot of entrepreneurs becoming investors, and we also don't see we see a lot of investors who haven't built businesses, met payroll, and so both have flaws. So
Right.
if you had the good fortune of having the entrepreneurial experience, then I think looking at the Buffett Munger frameworks, it's a very easy transition.
Right. It's probably also easier to go business to investor than investor for a long time than suddenly go try to be an entrepreneur.
Well, investor to business, the problem is the window is closed.
Right.
So you'd be at a disadvantage to start with. But yeah, the earlier you start on both endeavors,
Right.
the better off you are.